approach to galvanizing customers. The company's Net Promoter Score was faltering, and customer recommendations of new products were especially disappointing. Intuit decided to hold a 2-day off-site meeting for the company's top 300 managers with a focus on the role of design in innovation. One of the days was dedicated to a program called Design for Delight. The centerpiece of the day was a PowerPoint presentation by Intuit founder Scott Cook, who realized midway through that he was no Steve Jobs. The managers listened dutifully, but there was little energy in the room. By contrast, a subsequent exercise in which the participants worked through a design challenge by creating prototypes, getting feedback, iterating, and refining had them mesmerized. The eventual result was the creation of a team of 9 design thinking coaches, innovation catalysts, from across Intuit who were made available to help any work group create prototypes, run experiments, and learn from customers. The process includes a pain storm to determine the customer's greatest pain point, a soul jam to generate and then winnow possible solutions, and a code jam to write code good enough to take to customers within 2 weeks. Design for Delight has enabled employees throughout Intuit to move from satisfying customers to delighting them. From idea to initiative. Like most Silicon Valley tech companies, Intuit had user interface designers, graphic designers, and others buried relatively deep in the organization. Cook turned to a particularly talented young design director, Karen Hansen, and asked her what she would do to promote design at Intuit. Hansen realized that the company needed an organized program for moving from talking about D4D to doing it. She persuaded Cook to let her create a team of design thinking coaches, innovation catalysts, who could help Intuit managers work on initiatives throughout the organization. Hansen selected 9 colleagues to join her in this role. Their training and deployment was her central agenda for fiscal year 2009. In selecting the 9, Hansen looked first for people with a broad perspective on what it meant to be a designer. Beyond creating a graphic user interface that was both appealing and intuitive, it included thinking about whether the software solved the user's problem in a delightful way. She wanted her coaches to be interested in talking to users and solving problems with colleagues rather than depending solely on their own genius. If they were to successfully coach others in design thinking, they'd need an outgoing personality and good people skills. She invited 2 direct reports from her own business unit and 7 people from other units across the company. The group included 6 women and 4 men. They came from a variety of fields within Intuit: design, research, product management, and had titles such as user interface architect, principal researcher, staff designer, and product manager. Hansen chose people who were influential even though they were all 1 or 2 levels below director, meaning closer to the bottom of the organization than the top. All 9 signed up enthusiastically. To begin building design thinking into the DNA of the company, Cook and Hansen organized a series of Design for Delight forums. These were typically attended by more than 1,000 employees and featured a speaker who'd had exemplary success in creating customer delight. Half the featured speakers came from inside Intuit. The other half included the founding CEO of Flip Video, Facebook's top data scientist, and the head of Apple Stores. The forums also showcased D4D successes to date and shared best practices. People who worked together were encouraged to attend together and were asked as a team to identify the one thing they would do differently after the forum. To ensure that managers who were thinking design didn't become too intimidated to begin the process, or frustrated trying to do something with which they had little experience, or delayed by needing to hire an outside design consultant, Hansen's innovation catalysts were available to help any work group create prototypes, run experiments, and learn from customers. Of course, there was a risk that this would stretch the catalysts too thin, so Hansen placed some constraints on their availability. They were expected to spend 25% of their time on big payoff projects for Intuit overall. Hansen kept in close contact with general managers who had catalysts working with them to make sure